All right, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Another win on a back-to-back, man. Woo! Tonight was a night. This is probably one of the most fun games we have ever had. I can't think of another game this season where it felt this amazing. I'm not just talking about the dominance that we showed against the Jazz, but I think it was more about the statement that we made, not just last night, but on a back-to-back with half of the Lakers sick. Clearly there were some things that were going wrong for us. LeBron wasn't shooting as well as he normally does with his jumpers. Kuzma was having a hard time getting it going. And we walked away with a huge win tonight against the Jazz in their own arena, man. So this is a time for us to celebrate, man. This is a time for us to celebrate. There's plenty to get into tonight. I'm really excited. This is going to be a short one because there's really not much to talk about, man. The team obviously did their thing tonight. And there really weren't a lot of holes necessarily. Some bad plays here and there. That's going to happen with every team. But the way the Lakers dominated tonight, and here's why that's the biggest thing to celebrate tonight is the fact that most pundits were expecting this to be the telling stretch of games right here. Like, how good are the Lakers really? How are they going to do against the Denver Nuggets, who's a number 1 rated team in defense? How are they going to do against another back-to-back against the Jazz, who's a top 10 rated defense? And I think we showed tonight that we are incredible. And I have to keep saying this every single post game, that Avery Bradley is still out, and he's still one of our top defenders. And we held this team to, again, less than 100 points. The Lakers are absolutely dominant. We're 10-1 away, and the only loss that we do have was inside the Staples Centers to the Clippers on their technical home floor. So as far as being away from Staples, the Lakers are still perfect, and that matters. That matters, especially when, number one, you're fighting for home court advantage in the playoffs, but you also, that means that when you do go on the road, that you have a culture and a pedigree of being dominant on the road, and the Lakers did it again tonight. This is absolutely amazing, man. Let's kind of go through the box scores tonight. Anthony Davis, another amazing night. He was 9 of 11 for shooting and 26 points, and his defensive presence was amazing. He had 3 blocks tonight, only 1 last night, but still tonight, Anthony Davis was a dominant defensive force as well as a tremendous offensive force, and he was 8 of 9 from the free throw line, which is what you want to see. LeBron James, again, he had a pretty bad shooting night. He was 9 of 21, but the man had 12 assists. This is right around his average for the season. He was a plus 14, had 20 points tonight. He was only 1 of 6 from 3. That means the 3 wasn't falling like it normally does for him, and he was still finding ways to affect the game. Contavious Caldwell-Pope added in as the 3rd double-digit starter. He had 14 points tonight, and him and LeBron seemed to find some synergy in the second half. It just made the Jazz look horrible. It just almost makes you wonder how they were considered a top 10 defensive team. The way that LeBron and KCP were finding KCP on cuts wide open under the basket, literal layups as though it was a layup drill. Kyle Kuzma, even though he didn't shoot as well as you like, he was 4 of 11. He had 13 points tonight. 6 of those points came off of 2 threes at the buzzer that were just weird, just crazy weird that they went in. Maybe he's finding his identity as shooting last-second threes, because this is not the first time that it's happened for him. Dwight Howard shot a 3 tonight. That was really awkward, and he made it. He also hit a mid-range jumper, finished with 7 points tonight. He was 3 of 3. He was perfect from the field, and he had 9 rebounds, contributing huge in the rebound category tonight. The Lakers had 46 rebounds compared to the Jazz 40 rebounds. So we out-rebounded them by 6. But here was the more telling stat. As crazy as the game started with the Jazz shooting hot from 3, getting out to that lead, which apparently every team does, the Lakers actually shot better from 3 than the Jazz, and we shot just 2 less threes. So we were 14 of 29 for 48%, and the Jazz were 14 of 31. And to be honest, Bogdanovich, Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell, these people are known as their shooters, and they couldn't keep up with the Lakers tonight. And it was absolutely amazing to see that. Another great telling point tonight was that every single Laker played, and every single Laker scored tonight. Just think about that. Every single Laker, with the exception, of course, of Boogie and Avery, who were not playing because they're hurt. But from Quinn Cook all the way to LeBron, every single Laker scored no less than 3 points. That's amazing. That's just amazing to be on the road on a back-to-back and every single person scored. I think tonight we have to give it up for Rondo again. He was 2 of 3 again from three-point line. He's becoming a shooting revelation. I already tweeted Lakers Film Room and told him he has to do a video on this because this evolution as a shooter really adds a different factor. Most of us were wondering how would Rondo fit into this lineup, and we're seeing it. Him coming off the bench, running that second unit, keeping defenses honest by being able to hit mid-range shots, which he's always really been able to do, and three-point shots, which is a new revelation for him. Him being able to do all of that stuff, man, is a huge advancement for that second unit, which makes them a viable second unit. Look at this. Rondo had 14 points. Kuzma had 13 points. Dwight Howard had 9 rebounds, 7 points. Caruso had 5 points and also contributed tremendously on defense tonight. This is the stuff you need. And what is even better about this is, once again, we are not at full strength. I don't even know what to say about that. 121-96 tonight. We are officially 19-3, and we have one more game, of course, on this road trip. But let's get into these questions, man, because I'm not going to be on here too long. In but net, which I'm assuming means nothing but net. 40 minutes of locked-in defense. And listen, guys, we really didn't have to worry about the defense. It started off the very first few minutes. It felt a little weird because they were hitting wide open threes. But I'm telling you, it goes back again. Every single team is utilizing the Lakers as their measuring stick. Not because of the winning streaks and not because of the projections of what we're going to do in the playoffs and the finals. It's really based upon the swag, the length, and what they know in the scouting report. The Lakers are dominant on the defensive end. So teams are going to come out aggressive in trying to score. In the first quarter, the Jazz were playing literal up court that's close to full court as they could. They weren't hitting as full court, but as soon as we stepped across that half court line, they were playing close. The referees really weren't calling fouls. But then if we started going to the inside, and Rudy Gobert gets into foul trouble early, and has to sit a lot of the game, which contributes to why we were able to have such dominant point scores in the paint. When you start seeing these things happen, when you start seeing teams playing aggressively, it's because they're trying to find a weakness or a chink in the armor. And it's not really working because the Lakers do not become affected by falling behind early in games. It doesn't mess with them. It doesn't even really mess with them when they're behind at halftime. They have a mentality of steady and consistent. They trust the system, and hats off to them for being able to lock in for 40 minutes tonight and make it happen. Blake St. Clair, man, and let me just say salute to Blake St. Clair, man. He's always on here. Truly appreciate you tuning in every night. Another game, another good win, and gave AD and LeBron some rest in the fourth. Can't ask for more than that. The Jazz announcer said something that was amazing to hear, even though it was slightly a shot at the Clippers. They said that you don't need to load manage players when you're blowing teams out in wins. And so tonight is, once again, the recipe. This is the recipe we're looking for. Are we going to blow teams out every night? Absolutely not. But when you do have an opportunity to do so, you have to do it, and you have to put your foot on their neck. And you got to make it. You got to make a room for AD and LeBron to sit on the bench. Tonight, LeBron, it got so bad, LeBron took his shoes off. Okay, when LeBron takes his shoes off, that means that he has no intention of going back in the game. And that lets you know how much they trust not only the second unit, but how much they trust the momentum that is happening in the games. Not every team can trust the momentum that they get, because some of the times when the stars come off the floor, then teams can fall behind. We saw that with the Rockets. The Rockets had a huge lead, and then they end up losing the game because keeping leads is not as sustainable as people think. And so tonight it was great to be able to see AD and LeBron sit down, chill out, and prepare themselves for the next game and have fun with it, man. The entire bench was on fire tonight, man. And let me know, you guys tell me if I'm off, but the Jazz announcers tonight, towards the end of the game, really started getting irritated with the Lakers and talking about how much they did not like the Lakers celebrating, how much they did not like how the Lakers were smiling and laughing and joking and doing all that stuff. But I think people forget that for 6 years, we had to watch other teams do that to us. Last year, after LeBron was hurt, and we were getting blown out by 25 points, 30 points, 35 points, we watched other teams laugh at our expense. And I think what's really making people upset is that the Lakers are back in a position now where we can call ourselves not only championship contenders, but a good cultured championship contender. That there's no drama around LeBron right now. There's everybody is in sync. Dwight Howard shoots a three and makes it, and he immediately points to Boogie Cousins, and they point at each other and laugh. This is a culture that people hate to see because it's scary when you think about a dominant team that likes each other. It's one thing to have a dominant team that doesn't like each other. We saw that with the Golden State Warriors. They were dominant, but people felt like they had a chance because they weren't getting along. This team is getting along, and they're dominant. That is horrible news for other teams in the league, and they hate to see it. And nothing but net chemistry over the top. I just said it. Exactly. Love it. I love that win. Winston Apps, I love it too. I can't even explain how much we needed to make that statement in the month of December. It doesn't mean we're not going to lose again. Of course we're going to lose another game at some point. But what it does show is that we have the ability not only to bounce back from losses, but that we're able to put together a good stretch over a road trip, and that it doesn't affect us when we do fall short in certain games. Roderick O'Keefe, Kuzma's blocks were fire. Once again, this is what we have to look at. Early in the game, most of us on Twitter were talking about how off Kuzma looked, and he looked off tonight for whatever reason. He's been looking off a few games, but to see him engaged on the defensive end the way he was, even in a blowout, other teams may call that disrespectful, but if you're going to talk about playing 40 minutes of defense, you don't turn off the defense when you're beating a team that bad. You keep the same energy, you keep the same mentality all the way through the game, and to watch Kuzma be engaged for 2 blocks in a row in the paint and then go on the other end and get fouled and go to the line is huge, man. It's huge to see that. That means that he is not allowing his inefficiency on the offensive end to affect his efficiency on the defensive end. And that is the sign of not only a good player with a good mentality, but good coaching and good culture in the front office. Here we go. Live XP on the coaching bench, since they front office. LA's only good because they have an easy record. It's scary good. That's right, man. I mean, the pundits are saying it now. At first it started with, in the very beginning of the season, they lost to the Clippers, so the Clippers are better. And then the Lakers go on a winning streak. And then all of a sudden, it's LeBron is selfish and he's trying to prove himself too much as hashtag Wash King. And then Anthony Davis puts up 40 and 20. And then all of a sudden now people are saying that they're great. And then the pundits start saying even as early as today, earlier today, that maybe the Western Conference isn't as good as everybody projected. No, the Western Conference is still great. It's just they have to come through us. And that's the way it should be. The Lakers should be the standard setter for the entire Western Conference, regardless of how many people get together and form duos, or no matter how many people think their bench is deep. We set the standard. I think we showed that tonight. Tan Marino 13. What's up, Devon? Played great again. Defense was contagious. 80 looks like he's really starting to get settled in. Still expecting him to continue to trend upwards. With December 15th quickly approaching, which 2-3 players do you think most likely find themselves on the move? Tamari, that's a great question. I don't know, and I'll say this, and I've said this a couple of times. I think all of us are waiting for the Iggy trade. That's what I think all of us really, really want. Players like maybe a Quinn Cook and stuff like that could work, but you need the money to work, number one. You need the other team to value what we are trying to trade for Iggy. And then the last piece is, we're not even sure if there's anybody else outside of Iggy that we really desperately would want. Because right now, what you really want is you want consistency. And so whoever we invite back into this locker room has to be able to not only meet the approval of the team that is there, mesh well and be productive and play defense. And I just don't know outside of Iggy who would fit that championship pedigree. It needs to be a veteran. Doesn't need to be a young guy. It needs to be a veteran. It needs to be somebody that can be useful right away. Otherwise, you may be looking at the same roster come the All-Star break. Now, some of us will say, that's not a good thing, but if it's working and the culture is good, you can work on mechanics and getting people up and better. We saw the turnaround of KCP. We saw Rondo become a better shooter. We're seeing Alex Caruso take that next step in his defensive stats. But we're seeing things come together, and so you may not necessarily want to mess with that. Not only that, at some point, I do expect, and this is me just saying this with no information given to me, but this is just my feeling. If the Lakers get enough of a cushion, you may see a call up of of our guys from I can't remember their names, THT and the other guy Norvell. You may see a call up for them just to have them on standby, just to kind of give them some run to see how that's going to go. And you got to have those things open. The biggest thing about coming up on the 15th is no matter what we do, if we don't do a trade, if we try to pick somebody up who gets waived, and you're going to see people getting waived, that means we have to cut a player. And that's going to be the difficult part, because cutting a player is a lot different than trading for one. That there's different emotions attached to that. Even though it's not an emotional decision, there's some things that come along with that, and I just don't know who they would be willing to cut to add somebody who was already waived by another team. So we'll see. December 15th is coming, man. It's already the 5th as of tomorrow. And that'll be 10 days away. You're going to start hearing rumors pop up, and I don't really know what they're going to do with Iggy, but that's going to be the number one priority. And again, this will be another test for Rob Pelinka. We'll see what Rob Pelinka can pull off, and he's done amazing so far. I think we all owe him an apology. Every single one of us owe him an apology. I think he's done exactly what he needed to do with this roster. Even with we were this close to getting Kawhi, and a part of me is really glad that we didn't, because all the players that we ended up getting, they all play. I would rather have depth with like an Avery Bradley, an Alex Caruso, or Rondo than to have one player who eats up all the all the salary space, and all we have left are veteran men. So that's something to think about. Blake St. Clair did a good job with limiting the turnovers too. Yeah, it was still a high turnover game tonight. In general, like tonight we had 17 turnovers, not something that you want to see, but they had 24, which is good. So we did limit our turnovers to less than 20, which is good. Once again, championship squads, and I'll keep going back to the last dynasty that existed, which was the Warriors. They were a high turnover team as well. A lot of times when you're sharing the ball and moving the ball in the culture is to find the next open man. You'll see that. You'll see a lot of high turnovers, and most of our turnovers come on silly things. LeBron going into a crowd in the paint, trying to throw the ball ahead on a fast break that's really not a fast break, just somebody cherry picking on the other side. So a lot of those turnovers are silly and can really be restrained. Expect that total to go down by the All-Star break, but it was good. You're right. It was good night on the turnover end tonight. The defensive effort was great. Laker Metropolis. Yeah, defensive effort was great. And this is good to say that against a team that does have viable scores. Once again, I tweeted this before the game. Even though they were without Mike Conley, they're still a team. They still have Bogdanovich, who was a sharpshooter. We saw that tonight. They still have Donovan Mitchell. When he decides to turn it on like he did tonight, he can be a threat. Rudy Gobert typically is a threat on the defensive end, and he's a threat on the pick-and-roll offensive end. Tonight, he wasn't as effective. So they had legitimate people there, even without Mike Conley. And to be able to play defense and show them down was amazing. Ray Alba, man. What's going on, man? My boy Ray. What's up, Devon? AD was an absolute monster tonight. It's fun to finally have a center that has an upper hand versus the Stifle Tower. Stay up, brother, man. Listen, man, my salute to Ray. You guys don't understand. That dude brought me into this whole thing. I'm really appreciative of him. But yeah, man, it was good. It's finally good, man, to be able to look at your roster and not worry, right? So there's not another big in the league that we're really afraid of, and there's really not another guard or forward that we're afraid of. There's good, like a James Harden is good. But once again, if he can put up high numbers, but he has a high volume of shooting. The difference is that when the Rockets play, they haven't played a defensive team like us, and so we don't really fear them. They can go off all they want to. We're going to shut down everybody else, and there's no way you're going to be able to outscore AD, LeBron, and the rest of the supporting cast. We're just too dominant. We're too good. And for the first time since really, I want to say Shaq and Kobe, or maybe even Kobe and Powell, we haven't really, had a duo that we had so much confidence in that there was nobody in the league that we feared. And it feels good. And if I had to go through 6 years to get back to this place, 6 years of bad basketball to get to this place where we're championship contenders with AD and LeBron in this cast, I'd do it all over again. Winston's apps. He looks good tonight. I'm assuming you're talking about LeBron or AD. But the whole team looked good tonight, so I'm with you, man. Lakers bench outscored Utah 47-19. I want you guys to think about this. The Lakers bench outscored the other team 47-19. That's NBA 2K stats. That's something that you do when you're trying to this is what I used to do. Like last year, or even last year, when we would lose games, my first reaction was to go on to 2K, find the team we lost to, and then blow them out on 2K. That's essentially what the bench did in real life. 49 points from the bench is amazing, with the other half coming from LeBron and AD. That's a good mixture, man. That's the way you want to see it. Winston asks, Kuzma did not shoot well. He did not. He shot poorly. I think it's safe enough to say that. He shot poorly. I think I said that earlier. But what he did do is it did not change his aggressiveness on the defensive end. Once again, I don't know how much we care about plus minus, but Kyle Kuzma was a plus 25 tonight with 13 points. So that means even with him shooting 4 of 11, he was active in the plays. He had 4 steals tonight, guys. Kyle Kuzma had 4 steals tonight, 3 blocks with 0 fouls. Okay? Like, that is good production. Even when, I know, once again, I said this before. I said Kyle Kuzma said he was going to surprise us when he comes back. I said his offense is not what would surprise me. If he went for 20, that wouldn't surprise me. But if his defense was there, that would shock me. Him having 4 steals, 3 blocks, and still putting up 13 points, that's the Kuzma that we need. If Kuzma can play that active on defense and give us just a double digits in the points, he has done his job. So I'm really happy. I know we're going to focus on his shooting, but let's not forget 4 steals and 3 blocks tonight. It matters. Tamarino 13, Lakers players. Gotcha. Alpha Male 213, the Clips still worry me. They don't worry me. They're going to be tough. The Clippers are good, man. The Clippers are good. You know who their players are. You know there's Paul George. You know there's Kawhi Leonard. You know there's Montrezl Harrell. You know there's Lou Williams. But really, outside of those, you don't really know what you're going to get from the rest of that group. Zubats doesn't scare me. Montrezl Harrell reminds me much of a Kenneth Faried back when Denver was really hot. But outside of that, I still don't think that they matter. Because think about this. When we played the Clippers, there was 0 chemistry yet. Okay? Everything was hypothetical and in the air. Everything was conceptual. We hadn't played a team yet to know what our defense was going to look like. A real preseason didn't count. We hadn't really run offensive sets. We didn't know who each other were. We hadn't learned each other yet. A lot has happened and progressed for the Lakers since that first loss. Us going up against the Clippers now, it's a completely different team. And I know back then we were like, well, Kyle Kuzma isn't healthy. I don't even care if Kyle Kuzma was healthy. The fact that AD and LeBron have found their rhythm, and Rondo is shooting threes, and Alex Caruso was one of the top 5 defensive guards in the league, all of this stuff matters because none of that stuff mattered on the first game. It didn't exist. Now it does. And the Clippers still have a problem with trying to find synergy because they have the load management issue. They're still a dynamic team and an incredible team. And as far as I'm concerned, that will be the Western Conference Finals. It'll be a LA Western Conference Finals. Staples Center is going to be rocking for the entire Western Conference Finals. And I think that's going to be good for LA. I think it's good. I think it's good to have competition inside the building. I think it's great. I don't think they're going to do anything, but I think it's great. So hats off to them. D-Fanatic. Let's see what excuse the media makes now. They're going to make the excuse of the schedule. The only thing they can hang things on is the schedule. Okay? So even when we played Utah before, they were saying, oh, well, Bogdanovich didn't play. Right? When we've had these issues with the media, they're trying to find a way to grasp onto their original thought. Hats off to George Sedano, who had some thoughts about the Lakers early, but he openly admits his opinion has evolved over time with new information. I'm with it. I have no problem with people having doubts about the Lakers early. We had doubts about the Lakers early. We had doubts about the front office. We had doubts about why Rondo was coming back. We had doubts about paying KCP all that money. We had doubts. We weren't sure if Avery Bradley was going to go back to his original form. We weren't sure what Kyle Kuzma was going to be. We weren't sure if there was going to be LeBron drama. We didn't know all that stuff. We had no idea. We all had an evolution of thought. After that first loss, everything changed for us, and we started seeing things that made sense. We saw how good the signings were that Pelinka had. We saw how drama-free the front office has been since the signings. We haven't heard anything out of the front office, so we had to give kudos to that. We saw how good Frank Vogel was as a coach when none of us thought he was going to be a good choice. He turns out that he might have been the best choice, considering how much he's getting this team to play defense. So I have no problem with having a thought in the beginning, but you need to evolve over time. And watching the media grasp for straws to try to keep their original opinion as truth is embarrassing, to be honest. It's embarrassing. The Lakers are legitimate. They're good. And most of us were wrong about what we thought was going to be issues with this team. Period. LeBron Indy fan. Absolutely. LeBron Indy fan. If I were LeBron James, I would apologize to Utah. Too many customers and LeBron consumers in Utah. I'm not sure Type again and explain that statement for me because I'm not sure I understand it. Too many customers and LeBron consumers in Utah. I'll apologize to Utah. George Santiago, like when Golden State Warriors let Iggy coach game against Phoenix, better focus not getting blown out than ranting. Yeah, I guess better focus on not getting blown out than ranting. Like Kuzma said, if you gonna have a problem, then you shouldn't let us put that many points up. So listen, it's on them. DJ V Incredible. The Utah announcers were offended by LeBron celebrating on the court with his shoes off towards the end of the game. What a ridiculous thing to get offended by. But listen, when you're Utah and you've had these long stints, I want you to think about this. Utah has been close to championships before. Stockton and Malone couldn't get it done. This season was supposed to be the year that the Utah Jazz were going to take that next step forward and be a top 5. Most people were saying it was going to be Lakers, Clippers, Denver, Utah was right in there, that top 5. And they are not a top 5 team, guys. They may not, just being honest, if they don't get it together, they may not even be a top 10 team. I know the record now after tonight is 12-10, but that's not good in the Western Conference. That means that you could really be losing ground. So if you're going to be bitter, but you really need to take a look at your own team because we had to write out the years of being bad. We had to suffer, and we had to watch teams celebrate against us. In fact, when LeBron came and played us one year, the year before he came to the Lakers, they came and blew us out. And people were throwing foam fingers on the floor. Okay? We have survived a lot. And for us to be able to dance and be excited about our team on the road with back-to-back, unfortunately, you need to talk to your own team about that. So I feel zero remorse on that. The record is a reflection, Blake St. Clair, the record is a reflection of everyone on the Lakers having a major point to prove this season, from the coaches and the players to the front office. Amazing point, Blake. Amazing point. Everybody here has the same mission. It's a championship. And not only is the championship their goal, but how they get to they want to be contributors on the way to the championship. Jared Dudley knows his contribution is really not needed on the court. He knows his contribution is needed as a veteran in that locker room to keep things together, to coach up Kyle Kuzma's confidence and KCP's confidence. Like all of that stuff, he knows what his role is. But majority of those players are still trying to identify themselves. Quinn Cook is trying to identify, is he really a championship guard without Golden State? Is JaVale for real? Even though he has rings, can he get past the Shaqtin' a Fool moments? Dwight Howard is on a redemption tour. LeBron James has the Wash Kings movement behind him. Anthony Davis has been literally crushed about not being able to get the Pelicans anywhere. Even with his dominance in his prime. All of these players, Avery Bradley's trying to figure out, trying to show people that he's still a defender. All of these players, Kyle Kuzma wants to identify himself as a third option and not just a scrub or some freshman off the bench. These are all valuable things to have as motivation. All of those things are going to be necessary for the Lakers to keep energy on back-to-back nights. And this is what I love. When Avery Bradley comes back, he's been watching this team win without him. He's been watching Caruso have top defensive ratings. And you better believe in the back of his mind, he is storing up things. Not mad at the team, but he knows what he's capable of doing, and he wants to come in and prove himself. So I cannot wait till he gets back. And I hope they take their time with him. But when he comes back, he's going to add an extra set of energy into that starting lineup if he comes back to the starting lineup. And think about that. If KCP goes to the bench and you're running Kyle Kuzma, Rondo, Caruso, and Kuzma, and Dwight, that second unit is legit. That's a legit second unit. So, listen, we have a lot of stuff to look forward to, and I can't wait to see what happens. Los Angeles is still a Lakers town. Winston Apps, absolutely. That will never change. If the Clippers win a championship this year, it still will be a Lakers town. They look silly. Live XP1. Only way we add to this roster through buyout. No one is getting help. No one is going to help LA get better. That's the thought. Once again, unless they're asking for something, I could easily see a team asking for a Caruso, a Quinn Cook, a Troy Daniels. I could see people asking for multiple players that obviously we're not going to give up our depth for that, but I can see them asking for that just to say that they were willing to make a trade with the Lakers. Just almost similar to what happened last year when they were asking for the sky and the moon for Anthony Davis, and it's just the price will be too high, I'm sure. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with buyouts. We'll see what all that stuff. But better believe teams are front offices do not want to help the Lakers one bit. And general managers, I want you to think about this. General managers do not want to help Rob Pelinka. That thing that we dealt with Dell Demps, if you notice how many teams, the Popoviches and the Mark Cubans and all these people who are trying to get involved to stop that trade, is because people don't want Rob Pelinka to succeed. They don't want to see somebody who comes over, who was an agent, step over into that role and be dominant in their first year. They don't want to see that. Everybody was talking when we were causing drama, when Rob Pelinka was a liar and lying about the Dark Knight. Now, everybody was writing about it. Nobody is writing about the job he's doing right now. Nobody's writing about the player signings. Nobody's writing about any of that stuff, okay? Nobody's saying anything about that. And nobody wants to help create a narrative that makes him look good. And you better believe if there's a GM that is thinking about a buyout, but they hear rumors that the Lakers are looking at that as a buyout, I guarantee you those GMs will keep that player. There are teams that would rather not buy out players than to buy them out and help the Lakers. So we may not have any help, but we may not even need it, guys. I would love to have Iggy. But if Iggy does not come, I still believe this is a championship squad. So, George Santiago, great teams fall because of the disease of me, but LA don't have it. They have the disease of D. Now, that's good. That's real good. The disease of D, yeah. And LeBron, credit LeBron for creating that culture. LeBron has made it clear from preseason, from training camp, AD is the one. AD is going to be the one. When you see a superstar who puts up MVP-style numbers, who has championships, is an MVP candidate, when you see somebody who's been to the finals that many years in a row say, no, I'm deferring to this guy, and then becomes an assist leader on the court to help magnify AD's greatness, it creates a culture that nobody really should be a me. Not even Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis is taking control of it, but everybody knows that it's like this is a team effort, and LeBron has set that tone, and I'm so happy about that. Cameron Will. Hold on, let me go back. Cameron Will. This was one of the Lakers' best all-around game from everyone, top to bottom, and Bradley missing. I will scream this until he comes back. Avery Bradley hasn't even played, guys. And he has not played in a while. It's been weeks since this guy played. We've had streaks. We've had road wins. And he's still one of our top defenders. And we haven't even had him. We're still keeping teams under 100. Like, come on, guys. Like, this was a great win. I think the biggest test matchup wise will be the 76ers. Maybe. I think it's very telling to say that we have to look at the Bucks. We have to look at even Boston. When Boston's on, they're a tough team. Looking at the 76ers, they're a tough team. Okay? I think all these teams are tough. I think it's going to be a good test and a matchup. I think in a 7-game series against Toronto, against Giannis, against any of those guys, I think we still win. And the reason why is because we have length that nobody can match. Even with Giannis shooting threes like he was tonight, and being long and being able to get to the rim within 2 strides from half court, all that is great. But one player can't beat us by themselves. It's just impossible for it to happen. And so 76ers have Joel Embiid, and that's great. But not only is he known to be injury prone, but they have really not figured out synergy in Philadelphia. They've won games because they're in the East, but they haven't really figured out synergy. So they don't really scare me. It would be a good test to see how it is, but I still think the Lakers got it. Even Boogie looks very happy. He seems like he can't wait to be back. Cameron, well, I'm not even sure Boogie's coming back, but I do know this. I believe Boogie will be on this roster next year. Some of the things that I'm seeing is, once again, Dwight is still technically non-guaranteed. I don't see any reason for us cutting him because he has played his part and he has shown that he fits in this lineup well, and we need him. But after this season, he's going to be looking for at least, I think he's proved that he should be paid more than a minimum. So we have to look at what that roster spot's going to look like. JaVale McGee. I think we're trying to figure out. We may have to let some players go after this season, and I think that Boogie will be the mainstay. Of course, that changes the offense tremendously because you can't plug and play Boogie and Dwight and think they're going to be interchangeable. They're not. Completely different players. I would love to see Dwight stay with this team, especially if we win a ring. I would run it back and then just add Boogie in the fold because he's already counting against the books. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's not much to say. This is Team Black Beast. There's not much to say, but another great road win. That's right. And I'm getting ready to sign off very soon, but that's the gist of it. Bottom line, we made a point, not just a road win, but road wins, back-to-back, keeping teams sub 100 and showing them that we are a problem, period. AD torched Montrezl Harrell for 45 last season. A Showtime forum. That is correct. But AD needs to redeem himself for the opening night. Okay, only scoring 2 points in the fourth quarter is not going to work against that team. And I think now he feels much more comfortable. You're seeing him shooting threes. You're seeing him. You saw tonight. He took on 2 defenders, split him with the spin, and went straight into the rim and dunked on somebody. That's the AD that is worth trading all the players for. He's put up 40 points already with 20 rebounds. He was one of the quickest players to do that. You've already seen him put up triple dubs. You've already seen him do what he did tonight by being dominant. You've seen him have multiple block games. He's defensive player of the year. I think that's what's gonna matter. And I think, to be honest, I think some of the shine is coming off of the Clippers. Not because they're not a good team, but when you look at Patrick Beverley and how he plays defense, and you start to see these video clips of him flopping and getting fined for flopping and being annoying, but still not being effective. I think all those things are factoring in now, and these are things that we did not know earlier. So you better believe that I think AD is going to put up a huge number on Christmas Day. Team Black Beast, if it were the Celtics, Spurs, Clippers, 76ers, etc., the media wouldn't mention the schedule. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They wouldn't say a thing. But once again, this is what happens when you have this many championship banners hanging in your building. People have a problem. And I am a complete Celtics hater. But watching how the media even talks about the Celtics is funny. Because when you have dominant franchises, it's just people just don't know how to love it. And I'm out here in Houston, and people hate the Lakers. Now, there's a lot of Laker fans, but the people who are not Laker fans, they're not indifferent about us. There is a legitimate hate. There's a passionate hate for the Lakers. And I love it. I have my LeBron jersey in my closet right now to troll people every time we win. It's fantastic. I love walking around and watching people want to shoot me because I'm wearing a Lakers jersey. It's fantastic. But you can't stop winning, period. Whose minutes do you think Bradley's return affects the most? Caruso, Rondo, KCP, someone else? Caruso. I think it's going to affect Caruso. I think you're going to see a lot of I think you're going to see Rondo playing a lot with AD and LeBron. When they begin to mix the bench and the starters. I think you're going to see Caruso and Avery Bradley play a lot together when we need defensive intensity. But I think after they roll Bradley back in, I think Caruso still is going to take a back seat. He's played extremely well. And he's earned his spot on this team to not just be on the bench, but to be a rotational player. But I do think it affects his minutes. I think you're going to see a little bit less of Kuz, and we may go with a defensive guard position. When you go against a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook, don't be surprised if in the third quarter you see an Avery Bradley, a Caruso, a LeBron, an AD at the 5. If you see that kind of thing going on, or even a Danny Green playing, because it'll give the Lakers versatility. That's really what Bradley and Caruso and KCP. This is what their development has given us, is options. And if they keep the same mentality, that I don't care if I don't get as many minutes as I did the last game. If they keep that same mentality, they'll be amazing. Because that means the coach can call in whoever he thinks will fit that place, that game best, and everybody will be happy about it because it'll be another win. So, but I think Caruso, just by default, you're not going to take away KCP's minutes the way he's playing right now. He's hitting his threes. He's playing tremendous defense. He's playing with energy. Rondo is hitting threes. Rondo is making still some silly plays, but far less than what he was doing before. He's becoming much more consistent. I mean, he's already been suspended, so he'll probably get suspended again at some point. Knowing Rondo, he's crazy like that, and I love it. But you'll probably see Rondo stay consistent, KCP stay consistent, and Bradley stay consistent. There's really no reason outside of the injury why Bradley wouldn't still be the starter. Tiago Ramon, crazy to think the Lakers even entertained the idea of signing Ty Lue. Shaking my head, props to Vogel. We all did. It was the natural thought process. With the dysfunctional front office that we saw over the summer, all of the issues that went on with the trade, and then you have LeBron, who for the first time didn't go to the playoffs since his rookie year. You're looking for some stability, and so the natural thought was Ty Lue was a previous Laker. He's won championships with the Lakers. He's won championships with LeBron in Cleveland. It's a natural fit. But it shows that Frank Vogel, as of right now, was the right choice. I can't find a reason to say that there was a better coach to put than Frank Vogel and a Jason Kidd and a Lionel Hollins. We really don't know the full spectrum of who contributes what, but from what I've seen from like the Backstage Lakers and some clips, it looks like Frank Vogel is the head coach who really concentrates on defense. Lionel Hollins assists in that, and then it looks like Jason Kidd, Phil Handy, they really work on the offensive end for the shooting, for offensive sets, how to get around screens. Notice that no matter who has the ball, Rondo, Caruso, LeBron, we run the pick and roll well. Jason Kidd is a mastermind at how to be able to, at reading plays and pick and rolls and when to use it. The reason why we get so many lobs is not just because of our length. It's because we have a good understanding of how to roll, when to roll. I just want to remind people that we've had bigs before. We did have, what's that boy's name? We had Zubas before, okay? We had Lonzo, who's an incredible passer, who was able to throw alley-oops, but we weren't doing alley-oops out of pick and rolls. Okay, that's the difference. Lonzo was able to sit half court and throw one, or throw it full court. That's where we're getting majority of our points. But being able to get assists off of pick and rolls takes a basketball IQ that comes with veteranship, that comes with experience, that comes with wisdom, and just understanding how players move and operate. And so LeBron, if you saw, there was one play where LeBron literally waited in the air with the ball for the defender to come at him to try to block it, and then he just lobbed it. That's how in sync they are, that the big knew that LeBron was not going to do that layup. He was waiting for LeBron to release at the right time to catch the alley-oop, and the defenders could do nothing about it. Because had the defender not jumped, LeBron would have just laid it in. That's how in sync, and that's how much basketball IQ was on this team, and I give a part of that credit to Jason Kidd. Still no L's away from Staples Center. 19-3, baby. Still no L's. That's crazy to think about. We have not lost a game away from Staples Center. Now, of course, we're probably going to lose some games, but to go this long without it, that means something. Spain Torero 007 AD on the way. AD is here, baby. We ain't on the way nowhere. He's here. We ain't got to worry about him coming. He is here. And for all those people who think that AD is going to walk away at the end of the season, you're crazy. You're out of your mind if you think he's going to leave. Do you understand what is happening to his career right now? Do you understand what it means not only to be in the LA market, but to be as dominant and defensive player-like as he is? He has never had his name mentioned this positively over this long of a stretch. Most people are contributing not only the success of the Lakers to LeBron, but AD. In fact, if you take AD out of the equation, our record is nowhere near what it is right now. And I don't care what he was doing in New Orleans, him being in LA is making a total difference, not only for the Laker, but for his own brand and career. Speaking of brand, I know Kyle Kuzma signed with Puma. I'm very proud of him for getting his endorsement deal, but he's going to have to figure out how to play better when he gets these endorsement deals. Most complete win of the season, Dr. Buss is in heaven with a big smile on his face. Yes, he is. And I want to say that I'm really, really happy for Jeannie Buss because we gave her the business over the summer. When we lost and didn't make the playoffs, and the trade didn't go well, and Rob Pelinka and Magic left, and Rob Pelinka got elevated, it was just, we gave her the business. Every radio station, ESPN, Fox, everybody. Every fan base, everybody in the fan base, we were giving her a bunch of flack. And for her to hold steady, her and Linda Rambis and Kirk Rambis and Rob Pelinka and say, no, we're going to ride this out. This is the best decision. And to watch it come around the way it is, I think it's tremendous. They rode through the Kawhi debacle together. They watched an entire Laker nation in a matter of moments. They watched Paul George and Kawhi come together, and then you immediately started seeing signings. So shout out to the front office for bringing those things together. Jerry Buss trusted the right president, trusted the right person to run the Lakers. I think we should never doubt her again. Even if it seems the decisions don't make sense, I think this shows that they know what they're doing up there, and I'm happy for her. Ma RW, is this live? Yes. Caruso, Delano 1. Caruso contributes too much to positive play, winning play for his minutes to decrease, in my opinion. I agree, but someone's going to have to take a back seat. And the difference between Caruso and Avery Bradley is another top defender, but Avery Bradley is more trusted with his mid-range. Alex Caruso is decent from three, amazing with his defense, and does all of the hustle plays. But when you're trying to get a lead going, Avery Bradley can help establish that lead. What you want Caruso to do is to help sustain momentum that is built by the starters. That's why he doesn't start. Even though he has the top defensive rating on the team next to AD, you don't start him because you need him to bring that same force on the back end. The issue is that when you have a KCP who's starting now and is playing great defensively and already has shown that he can hit open threes better than Caruso can, the issue is, what do you do with that? Caruso was great for sparks off the bench, energy. He is a legend. He only had 5 points tonight, and he's a legend. We don't even know how many points he scored the last game. All we can talk about is that put-back dunk. But what matters is building leads that can be sustained, and you want Caruso to be the sustainer and not the igniter. So I think he'll see some minutes decrease, in my opinion. Maud RW, hello to you. LeBron Indy fan, top 5 in each conference look equal, but Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, the clear class of the NBA. Clearly, the Bucks are a tremendous team, man. They are looking great. And to be honest, Toronto is looking great. I would throw them in there too. I think part of this is just them riding with a chip on their shoulder with losing Kawhi and people doubting them after being defending champs, and nobody's considering them for Eastern Conference championships or even being in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think they are legitimate. Mon86, trade KCP. Mon 86, yeah, but trade KCP. Well, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, Lakers Film Room did a little bit about this, but there's a reason why KCP will not be traded. It has to do not only, number one, I wouldn't trade him because the way he's playing right now, we need him. But another part is the way his contract clause, his contract is constructed and the way the bird rights work, he's not getting traded. So don't expect that at all. Don't even look for his name to pop up on the trade block. It ain't going to happen. Mon 86, yeah, but we still have weak points, aka KCP is not your weak point, guys. Quinn Cook is your weak point. Troy Daniels is your weak point. They can shoot, but they also are liabilities on defense, which KCP is not. Okay, he has awoken recently. So if you haven't been watching the last several games, KCP has made his statement. He's back. He was tremendous defensively tonight, and once again, you're not going to see it in the stat sheet, right? But even then, KCP put up 14 points tonight. He was plus 14. He was 2 of 4 from 3, 5 of 8. He had a block. And he only had 2 personal fouls. Was a plus 14 and the plus minus. Had an offensive rebound. That's what you need from him. When you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the floor, already giving you 46 points tonight, to know that the other 14 points that came was coming from KCP. He's been actually doing better than Danny Green, offensively and defensively. Danny Green has a higher personal foul count. He has a lower plus minus. He's had a lower point average. We trust Danny Green to be clutch when needed, but KCP has been consistent over the last several games, and there's really no reason to trade him now. Delano, no, don't lump me in with y'all craziness. I had no part in that. Thought it was dumb. I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I appreciate that. LeBron Indy fan, smart. Damon Hunter 32. This team may not have a definitive number 3 scorer, but what they do have are guys that get theirs. I'll say it again. I can't stop saying it. The reason why our roster is so deep to me is not because everybody plays consistently great, but is that you really don't know on any given night who's going to turn it on. It legitimately could be Quinn Cook one night, even though he hasn't done that in a while. It legitimately could be Troy Daniels, even though he hasn't done that in a while. It could legitimately be a KCP. It could be a Kuzma. We don't know. You really don't know. And so anytime that you have that much depth of possibilities, you can play around with it until you find the hot hand, and you're still good because Anthony Davis and LeBron James are still going to average plus 20 points. They're still going to give you plus 5 rebounds, and LeBron's going to give you plus 10 assists. So you have enough of a foundation that you can play around with the other shooters. So we don't have a third scorer, but we have enough potential temporary third scorers that it makes it hard, man. KCP going for 14 tonight, Kyle Kuzma going for 13 tonight. That's huge. Rondo going for 14 tonight. I mean, listen, there's only so many points that can go around. You're not going to have 3 players that are averaging plus 20. It didn't happen during the Shaq and Kobe years. That's not going to happen. So you're only looking for someone to go 10 to 15 points, and you just don't know who's going to do it on what night on each game. And Caldwell Pope and Rondo and Kuzma were those point scorers tonight. 14, 14, and 13 from those 3 players, alongside with the 20 and 26 from AD and LeBron, is what you want. Everything on top of that is just gravy. Okay, everything on top of that is just gravy. So I'm all with it. Laker Metropolis, KCB locked up Murray yesterday. I'm trying to tell you guys, man. he was doing things that did not show up on the stat sheet. No, he did not have a lot of steals. He didn't have any steals, I don't think, and he didn't have any blocks. But what he did have was he was chasing through screens. He was denying the cut passes. He was denying sometimes he was denying inbound passes to Murray. Murray had a difficult time. He scored because scorers are going to score, but KCP made it extremely hard for him to do that. That's what you want him to do. That's something Quinn Cook cannot do. That's something that Troy Daniels cannot do, and most of the time that's something that Rondo can't do. Rondo has to do like he did tonight when he got that steal. He has to play on the weak side of and double teams and to catch people off guard and all that stuff. That's what he needs to do, which is good. But KCP has the energy to run through. He got clocked in the jaw tonight trying to chase through a screen. That's what you want. Damon Hunter 32. No need to cut any playing time. Getting Bradley back strengthens the second unit. It just depends. The original plan of Vogel, what he said earlier was, his plan was to stagger either Rondo or Bradley at the starting position for guard. I think Rondo has solidified that he is a second unit guard that can finish out games when necessary. I think it's going to be much more of a swapping between KCP and Bradley in the defensive set. I'm hoping somebody asks him that question, but obviously there's a plan in place where Bradley won't start every game. That's what it seems. That's what's been spoken verbally, but a lot has changed since that was said, so we'll see. Laker Metropolis, is it a player by committee for the Lakers' third option? Right now it's going to be. And if it is, I'm fine with that. If the Lakers bench continues to contribute like they did tonight by scoring 40-something points tonight, I don't see any reason why we should look for someone to step up and be that. What it does is it keeps the defense on the other team on their toes, because if we keep moving the ball that we're doing and Dwight keeps doing what he's doing, and if we keep doing those things, even JaVale was having some real silly moments tonight, but he made up for it because he would go down and he would even get second chance offensive rebounds and put it right back in. If people are contributing in that fashion, then you have to stay honest on anybody. I mean, Rondo was a legitimate 3-point shooter. So now he doesn't necessarily have to shoot 9 threes a game. He's only averaging about 2 or 3 threes a game, and he's hitting about 75% of those. So you got to legitimately worry about that, and then you still have to worry about Kyle Kuzma. Even if he doesn't hit those shots, all it takes is for him to hit it once, and he's off on a streak. So it's going to be by committee, and whoever gets hot, the team's going to feed that hot hand. Damon Hunter 32, a second unit of Rondo, AC, KCP, D39, and Kuz is a kick A second unit. Yeah, you ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying. I'm legitimately, I would be excited about that lineup. I wouldn't be mad. And then even if you were to sub in and out Kuz with an 80 at the 4 or a LeBron at the 4, I wouldn't be mad at that. That would be a great setup for me. We just have too many options. I think this is a great problem to have. I'll put it this way. Avery Bradley goes down, and we still have a 10-game winning streak, and we still have a top 5 guard to fill in the space and defend. If Lou Williams goes down on the Clippers, they're in trouble. Okay? That's what I mean by depth. When people consider depth, a lot of people talk about depth being, we have a bunch of people who can score or a bunch of people who can defend. But if those people go down, the depth is going to hurt. So for our starter to go down, and we have 2 backups, we have KCP and we have Caruso who can fill in the defensive role. That's where the depth comes in. Now, with that being said, granted, if LeBron or AD go down, now we're in trouble. Okay, I get that. But that's for anybody who's relying on superstars. If Paul George or Kawhi goes down or Kawhi doesn't play, they're in trouble, right? But if I'm talking about your bench, when I'm talking about depth, I'm talking about your bench. When you have starters that go down and you can pull a bench player up to fill into that role and still be able to supplement your superstars, that to me is depth. And that is something that the Lakers have. Right now we have depth, and we still have people in the farm system. Right now, Zach Norvell, THT, we got Antetokounmpo, we got Costas. These are people who are developing, and if you're watching South Bay Laker games, you're talking about adding these guys in, letting them get a few runs here and there on a 10-day contract, or bringing them up for a little bit, and then sending them back down to the G League. You have valuable contributors for your future. This is the stuff that should scare people. It's not so much what we have right now. But if you're telling me that you are grooming an Antetokounmpo not to be another Giannis, but to be a solid double off the bench, then you can let JaVale McGee go, and you can allow a Dwight Howard and a Antetokounmpo to come in. These are things that get me excited, man. This is things that get me excited. Alston Acoustic, yes, I wasn't expecting back-to-back wins because we are used to losing. But I think now we need to come in with an expectation that we're going to win. And like the next game, it's very possible it's a trap game next game. We might as well get into the schedule now and get ready to wrap it up. I didn't forget about you guys at the bottom, SEHMUFC. I'm going to get to you in just a second. But in this schedule, we have... oh, excuse me. Oh, here's my water. The next on this road trip, y'all forgive me because I didn't forgot that quick. Next on the road trip is Portland, okay? That's a totally losable game. Completely losable game, okay? We can lose that game, like legitimately, okay? I don't expect us to now. That's the difference. It is a trap game. It is a game that we can lose. Portland is up and down. They haven't really been as great, but we can lose, okay? We can lose it. But my expectation is that we're going to sweep this road trip and go home to play Minnesota and be 20-3. That's my expectation. SHMUFC, would you make any roster change at this point? To be honest, a little too early for me. Only 25% of the season has been done. But based upon how the West is playing and based upon how we're playing, if I could, the roster changes I would make aren't actually trade viable. Like they're not even realistic. You can't do anything. I would love to have Iggy on a buyout. Okay, I would love to have Iggy on a buyout. I would legit cut Quinn Cook. Since you have Avery Bradley coming back, I would cut Quinn Cook. And I would let Iggy come back, but Iggy come into that role. But Iggy is not getting bought out, so I mean, like any trade that I would make just doesn't really make sense. So right now, no. Live XP. I know we do great as a team rebounding, but does AD's rebounding bother you? Nope. Not at all. I don't want AD putting so much pressure on himself to be everything. He's already being the defensive player of the year. He's already showing himself as an MVP candidate, putting up MVP numbers with these plus 20 average. I don't need him to be the best rebounder either. You got too many bigs. You got too many bigs, man. You got LeBron who can rebound. How many did LeBron have tonight? LeBron was ridiculous tonight. LeBron had... because he had a bunch of assists. He had 4 rebounds tonight. Dwight Howard had 9 rebounds tonight. Like, I don't need AD in there risking his body for rebounds when you have bigs who can do that, okay? JaVale didn't do that great with rebounds tonight. He only had 5, it looks like. He only had 5 rebounds tonight, but 3 of those were offensive, right? Which is good. But like, I don't want him in there throwing his body around for that. And that was part of the problem in New Orleans. He had to be everything. He had to be a rebounder. He had to be a scorer. He had to be a defensive player. He had to be all that. And then he had to like use assists when he had Boogie there. He had to be able to kick it out of the paint when people would double him in the paint. He doesn't need to do that now. You don't need to do rebounds, bro. You really don't even need to do steals. You can do that if you feel like it. We got people with quick hands. We have a Caruso, right? We have a Kuz who had 4 steals tonight. We don't need you to do all that stuff. We need you to concentrate on blocks, on challenging at the rim, and scoring. That's what we need him to do. Okay? So yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. SCHMUFC, Melo gonna score 50 on us. I truly doubt it. He may have 20 plus. I don't think it's gonna be the reason they win though. If they were to win, it's gonna be because Dame and CJ have torched us. Outside of that, and listen, I was really more nervous about them when they had Zach Collins, not because he's a great player, but it just gives them more depth at the big position. But now that Zach Collins is out, it doesn't really scare me. Doesn't really scare me, man. So I think it's a very winnable game. It's more of a trap game than anything. Damon Hunter 32. It's early, but this squad legit. Guys are getting time and playing quality minutes. Depth. That's right. SCHMUFC. Rondo had a complete game today. He did. He did what he was supposed to do. He was a good floor general. He had his steals. He was able to contribute. He missed a couple of layups, but Rondo's going to do that. It's just he contorts his body so much to get to the rim, and I appreciate that. But preach D, Team Black Beast. That's right. Live XP1. Predict our record. I'm going to predict that we're going to win the next game and be 20-3. If I were to go through this schedule and really try to project, it's too hard. Because right now, I don't really know what the Western Conference is, right? When you look at a New Orleans who's bottom of the barrel but took us to the wire, right? You look at a Phoenix who's not really good, but they have this tendency of just coming out of nowhere and beating teams. I think we're going to be fine in the Western Conference. It's the Eastern Conference that tends to scare me a little bit. Not scare me, but it makes me more aware. Of course the 76ers. Of course the Bucks. Of course the Celtics. Those are people that, of course. But like, like we got beat by Dallas. And it wasn't necessarily because we were horrible. It was just, you got people like Luka who can get hot. And we don't do well with players who get hot. Which is why we play such suffocating defenses to prevent that. Because once they get hot, it doesn't matter what our defense is. They're hot. They're hot already. So I don't really know. I would think that we would lose over an 82 game season. I don't know. I would maybe think we would lose maybe 20 games. That's the way it feels right now. It's only December, but that's how it's feeling, right? If you look at the average right now, right? As of right now, we have been through 22 games, right? So we have 60 games left. And we've only lost 3 games, and so I'm just going to contribute and say the next game I'm predicting a win. So let's say 20-3, right? So every 23 games, for every 20 games we lose 3. So 20, 40, 60, somewhere in there. Yeah, I mean we could be a plus 60 win team for sure. It's just really going to depend on how healthy we are, and really how other teams adjust to us playing us the second time. We haven't had that much of an issue. Of course, we played Dallas once. We played them again, and they beat us, right? We played San Antonio twice, but we won both times. So it just depends on how the teams make adjustments. I don't know how that's going to work. So I would predict plus 60. MS Quita 427 smells and feels like a championship team. It absolutely is a championship team. No doubt. Anything less than the finals is a disappointment. Period. Anything less than the finals. Okay, if we don't win, if we lose to the Bucks in the finals, I'll be devastated. But it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. If we don't make it to the finals, I'm gonna be thoroughly shocked. I'm gonna be like Dodgers in the playoffs shocked. Okay, that's how I'm gonna feel. Team Black Beast, is it just me or does opposing teams hit an unusual amount of three-pointers against us? Yes, they're locked in and focused, and they know that's our one weakness. Because here's the thing. Teams take their entire week when they prepare for us. They take all that time working on threes because they are trying to find an outlet away from the paint. So they practice dribble, drive, kick. If you watch every single team, no matter how clear they are to the rim, their instinct is to pass because even when they feel like they've beat the big, we have a tremendous ability of chasing down blocks. We saw it tonight. We had 2 calls. One of them that technically should have been a goaltend, and another one where we blocked the layup off the backboard. Because that's our length. So teams are preparing their players to kick out to threes. So they hit an unusual amount of threes because they're practicing how to prevent our length. That's why we give up so many threes, is because we trust our length on the inside. We don't necessarily worry too much about the perimeter. We are more prepared to get the rebound from the miss of a 3 than we are protecting the 3-point line, which is why teams hit threes. But we're fine if Bogdanovich gets hot, because if you come on the inside, it gives you nothing. And so you can try threes all day, but I know we say if you make more threes than twos, you win. But the issue is you have a lower percentage of making threes. So if we just shut down your twos, you can shoot threes all day because we're going to outscore you in the paint. We're going to out-rebound you in the paint. We're going to have way more assists than you, and our bench is going to come in and outscore your bench. So shoot as many threes as you want. And I have no problem with them shooting threes. I know it's a weakness. But I don't care. If Lou Williams goes for 20 and he's shooting threes, I don't care. But if Kawhi goes 3 for 21 because he can't get on the inside and shoot that mid-range jumper, then we're going to win that game. SCHMUFC, KCP looks more comfortable as a starter. Would you bench him immediately once Bradley's back? No. I think you're going to have to work Bradley back in. So Bradley's going to come off the bench coming back in. They're going to be very cautious with his conditioning, very cautious with his injury. Once again, he came to this team because he was trying to overcome the injury narrative. They're going to be very careful about him because they need him long term. His conditioning is not where it was. So he's going to have to get it back up to that. So you're going to still see KCP and Bradley coming off the bench. The question is, can Bradley get back to a place where he outplays KCP for that starting lineup? That's what we're going to see. Damon 132, I got to wrap it up. When LA comes to town, these teams get up. Ask the Dippers. Lake Show has the bullseye. And every squad... Dude, when we won the game tonight, there were legitimately 40% of that crowd that was cheering on the Lakers, because the Utah announcers were talking about how disrespectful it was to have Laker fans in their building, which is crazy to me. We've had Laker fans in that building for decades. We have Laker fans all over the world. We are the number one loved team and hated team. That means that if you're with us, you'll be with us even if you live in Houston. But if you're against us, you're going to hate us just because you hate us. And so I don't know what people are expecting, but every single team is going to get up to come up against us because they know that we have Laker fans in their town. They know we have a dominant record. We have 2 of the top 5 players in the league. Both are MVP candidates, and one adding into that, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. We have a legit bench. Our coaching staff is on point. We have a culture that's killing, and we got banners that are already hanging up in the Staples Center. Of course, teams are going to get up for us. We are the standard now. We're no longer the floor mat of the NBA. We are the standard. We are the standard, period. What's lost on everything is LA gets every team's best. No other franchise can say that right now. Thank you, Live XP. That's the truth. That's the truth. Team Black Beast, I completely agree. Guys, I want y'all to tip one up tonight. I want you to enjoy your Wednesday night, because we did what the pundits said wouldn't happen. We won 2 of the toughest games on this 3-game road trip. We have 1 more to go. I'm still expecting us to win. I think the Lakers are expecting to win, and I think they're going to come out with energy. But we need to celebrate these moments. You have earned it. You gave 6 years of your fan life and supported teams that did not deserve to be supported. But we did it because it's the Laker brand, and we love the Lakers, and we honor Jerry Buss, and we honor Kobe's legacy. But now you are looking at a team that gives you a legit reason to be a fan, and a legit reason to be excited about watching Laker games again, and a legit reason to talk trash to all your friends who are talking trash about us. I got up, in case you guys don't know, I am a pastor, okay? I got up and I had to preach in LA this past Sunday, and I looked into this congregation, and I remembered about 70% of that crowd becoming Warriors fans out of nowhere. And I called them out on it for their sinful ways of leaving the Laker dynasty and going off to chase behind this Golden State trend that was going on. And once again, you know it's a trend because they're at the bottom of the barrel. We're championship contenders now, people. I think we have the right to celebrate. So with that being said, I'm tuning out. Listen, Friday night against the Trailblazers. I can't wait for tip-off, guys. I am anticipating a win. Let's send a lot of positive vibes via social media to the team. If you can, hit them on Twitter, hit them on Instagram. Let them know how much you appreciate. And, of course, make sure that you are following Showtime Forum on all social media platforms. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You have to follow us, guys. We have so much content that's getting ready to come out, and we want you to be a part of it. Plus, we want to know what you're thinking, what you want to see. And look, I'm excited. So until next time, I'm signing off. Forum fam, you are the greatest fan base that any NBA team could have, but you're also rooting for the number 1 team with multiple championships. I'll sign out, guys. Appreciate you.